It's out, ladies and gentlemen. It's finally been released. The results are in. The Gun Grabber's Guide to, well, gun grabbing. Johns Hopkins Center for Gun Violence Solutions says the results are in. Our new national survey on gun policy reveals that, listen to this, Americans broadly agree on many gun violence prevention policies. Check out the 2025 survey findings. Now, before we get started, this is ran by gun controllers. I want you all to know that these are gun grabbers. Johns Hopkins is ran by Bloomberg, which is a gun grabber. In case you're wondering, Johns Hopkins, Bloomberg has funded Everytown. Michael Bloomberg is arguably the most dominant figure in the gun violence prevention movement, aka gun grabbers. Johns Hopkins, Bloomberg School of Health. All of this is gun control. Bloomberg. All of it is gun control. So I don't believe anything I read in here, but there is something very interesting that I want to point out and show to you guys. So let's start with taking a look at what 74% of Americans support, get this, laws that require a person to lock up guns in their home when not in use. Now, I obviously was not asked about this. I was not one of the people that they surveyed. Even if I were to have been asked this, I would not answer that question for a gun controlling group, probably anyways. And I doubt most actual gun owners who actually believe in the Second Amendment did, which is probably how they're coming up with this ridiculous nonsense. But let's just take a look at it. It says overall Americans is that brown color. Gun owners is that orange color. 62% of gun owners, yeah, not likely. 81% of non-gun owners, and 84% of Democrats, and 65% of Republicans. Can you believe that? 65% of Republicans, as well as 62% of gun owners, believe this nonsense. Let's move on to the next one. It says, sorry about that, I jumped around, only 24, listen to this, only 24 of Americans support, listen to this, allowing a person to carry a loaded firearm in public without obtaining a license. You mean to tell me that there are 36%, only 36% of Republicans say that they want you to be able to carry a firearm without permission? Only 36%? I'm not buying it. This is just not making any sense to me, but let me read it again. The 37% support the carry of firearm in public without a permit. Only 37%, and only 36% of Republicans, 37% of gun owners, support carrying a firearm without asking permission from the government. Yeah, those numbers don't make any sense to me. That's not legit. But then again, it's gun controllers asking, well, people that aren't going to answer that question to gun controllers. So obviously these numbers are not realistic. And they're going to use these for the rest of the year saying, oh, well, so-and-so did this and so said that and the stats say and the surveys say. Yeah, we already know how that's going to go. Listen to this. 72% of Americans support requiring a person to obtain a license from a local law enforcement agency before buying a gun. So you mean to tell me that 61% of American gun owners say that they, once again, want to ask the local law enforcement for permission to buy, before they even buy a gun? Not before they carry one, but before they buy one. No. I'm sorry. I know a lot of gun owners and not a single one think that's a good idea. Or should even be true. I mean, have you read the Second Amendment? Okay, now let's move on. Pretty decent correlation between gun owners and Republicans, or at least so their numbers are trying to prove. 63% of Republicans also think that's over 50%. That is total nonsense, but let's move on. Next one is 72% of Americans support funding community-based gun violence prevention programs that provide outreach, conflict mediation, and social support for those at high risk of gun violence. Now this is kind of more realistic because I feel like there's more people that are more likely to believe that the way it's worded. Okay? 67% of gun owners in, and 59% of Republicans. Okay, let's move on to the next one. 77%, so they say, of Americans support allowing, get this, allowing family members to ask the court to temporarily remove guns from a relative who is at risk or harming themselves from others. This is 71% of gun owners, and they say 70% of Republicans. The next one, 77% of Americans support allowing licensed healthcare clinics or clinicians to ask the court to temporarily remove guns from a patient who is at risk of harming themselves or others. 70% of gun owners and 69% Republican. Still not buying this. 76 of Americans support allowing law enforcement officers to ask the court to temporarily remove guns from an individual who is at risk of harming themselves or others. 68% gun owner and 69% Republican. Not buying it. Oh, but here's a kicker. 82% of Americans support prohibiting a person subject to a temporary domestic violence protection order or having a gun for the duration of the order. There's nothing that I see here that says that there is a conviction, so I am not buying that 79% of gun owners are for that and 75% of Republicans. If there's not a conviction, I know this is a touchy one, but if there's not a conviction, see Bill of Rights. But there is something very interesting that I would like to show you guys. You see here, there's a 2023 survey and the survey results. Now, they're much like these, but what I did do was I did a little comparing, and I found something very interesting. Because obviously, I think all of this is made up. I don't think any of this is true. I think that it's gun controllers, Bloomberg, gun controllers feeding statistics and feeding results so that they can spout it off for the next 2 years. That's my personal opinion. But you guys, let me know yours down in the comments. Now, what I did do, and I'm going to cut my face off for this because, like, you guys don't need to see my face when we're trying to compare these, is this right here. So take a look at this. Let me hide my face, okay? And let me hide that. There we go. All right. Now on this, you can see that 69% of Americans support funding community-based violence prevention programs, but there's something here on the left side. You will see the 69%, the bigger wide gap. That is the further side away from me over there, further away. The 69% of Americans, that bigger side with, that has the top, the bigger top up there, that is from 2023. I can show you that later on. And the other side here with the darker brown, that is going to be the 2025 side. So I just want you to know that the left side, or I don't know if it's my left or your left, so the bigger side that shows the bigger gap, that is the 2023 side compared to the this side, which would be the 2025. Just so we're clear. But now let's dive back in. Now, the 69% of Americans support and the 72% support. I would like you to pay attention very closely to the blue. So if you see the blue there, you'll notice that that is Democrat. And you'll notice that there is a drop in, them. So I don't know if you guys can tell or not from seeing that. I try to make it bigger so you guys can view it. But there you can see that the Democrats have dropped a few percentages. And if you look at the second one, they've also dropped a few percentages. You see 89 versus 87, and that's American support from 2023 to 2024 or 2025. And if you look at this next one, there's also a drop. You see that it goes from 87 to 82. And number 3, you also see there's a drop from 86 to 84. And then one more, there is another one, and you see that it is a drop. It says this one is a support question. It's only in 2023, if you take a look, it says only 23% of Americans support allowing a person to legally carry a handgun, loaded without all the permissions. In 2023, only 12.3% of Democrats agreed with that. And then in 2025, where we are now, 15% of Democrats agree with it. So ladies and gentlemen, don't get me wrong. I know that none of that makes sense when you look at it broadly, like, why would gun owners be saying this or gun owners be saying that? We're not, okay? At least not any of the ones I know. I think that they're coming up with these on their own, but I would like to point out that they are losing Democrats every single year in all of those categories. Did you not see? A few percentages here, a few percentages there. So it's just proof that we're winning. Time and time again, we are winning. And from year to year, we are winning. From 2023 to 2025, we're winning. Less Democrats are agreeing with their nonsense. And I know it may only be a little percentage here and there, but ladies and gentlemen, that little percentage can save us in the long run. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know your thoughts on this down in the comments.